Alright guys, so get excited. This is the fun part now. We get to actually start adding the snow. So, how I do this, I'm going to basically focus on the smaller, lesser detailed areas. For example, like the steps, certain little nooks and crannies. I'll focus on those first before I move on to larger areas like this, because I want to try to limit how much moving the shell around, because it's important to just take your time with this and let the baking soda set up. And like I said, I don't want to like work on one whole side and then move on to the other, turn it over, and then have some of that fall off, because it can happen before the glue sets. Some of that baking soda snow can fall off as you're moving it around. So I want to just work on this very slowly. I know it's kind of tempting to just jump right into this, but it's just important to really take your time again. Yeah, I know, it sounds annoying. I get it. Whatever. Anyway, I got my nice number 3 round pointed brush here, and I have my glue solution that I showed earlier and the baking soda. Now, I usually start, like I said, in the smaller detailed or lesser detailed areas, like the steps and stuff like that. Stuff you might forget to put the snow in. It's important to just get all those little areas first and cover them. So, what I do, I start by applying a small bit of the glue solution at a time, just on the steps right here. You guys can see that. I'll apply that. Now, I basically get a good pinch of baking soda in my hand. You guys can see I'm taking this right out of the box. What I'll do, I'll lean the model over, and I'll basically take and let it all just kind of pile up. Now, I know it's kind of hard to see, but you can kind of see the baking soda start sucking up some of that moisture. And when it starts doing that, just keep layering it. Don't overlayer it, just a little bit. Just enough that it covers up all that glue. That's what you want, okay? So if I zoom in, you guys can see that coverage, right? That's what we want. It's not too much, but it's enough that it covers the area. And again, once this dries, you can go back and build it up a little bit more if you like, just depending on how heavy the drifts are. But just keep in mind, as you add more layers of glue over this, you can weaken that underlying layer, so don't go crazy on this if you're going to do it this way. So I'm going to let that set, and we'll keep moving here. But again, just keep working on small areas at a time first. Don't jump into the big areas, because small areas like the steps and everything can get messed up if you keep going and adding more over that. So it's important to hit all those smaller areas first, and then focus on the bigger areas. That's just kind of what I've found for this step. So again, I'll demonstrate this one more time before I go into another area. This one I'll kind of put a little bit more snow in. Just got a sprinkle. And again, just, matter of fact, I'll try to zoom in on this a little bit if I can get the lighting a little better too. But if you guys can watch this, you'll see the baking soda again suck up that glue as it gets applied. There we go. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Damn right. But you guys can see I already hit up the back pilot plate with the snow effects. I'll have to scrape off some of the snow on the hoses later, because unlike all the other units where the hoses are caked in ice, the ones in between the F7 and the GP40 are pretty clean, which is interesting. I'm not sure why they did it that way. Anyway, I'm again just going to take the glue, and in areas like this you want to just be pretty generous. Remember, you're really going to cake this on here, so just be generous with the glue. Wrap it around. There we go. Just trying to wrap it around there. Put it on that receptacle. And then we will take, and here's where the magic happens with that spackle base. All of the spackling gets covered up with the baking soda, and you get some really rad looking snow effects. Zoom that out a little bit. I'll try to kind of shake some of that off there. I'm just gonna see what we're dealing with. Doesn't look too bad. me see here. Yeah, it's working pretty good. Nice. Nice. It's pretty legit, let me tell you. Get a little bit on top of this MU stand, because there is a little bit on that part in the movie. On the top, there is some slight snow buildup, but it's pretty minimal. Just really on these icy areas, so I'll take a little bit of it and just apply it to this rear section past the last radiator fan, just for some detail change. Again, just a light sprinkle, not too much, just a little, just for some textural changes. And then a little bit tucked in these corners won't look too bad either. Just anywhere where there's going to be like little places where the snow will build up, you know, just as long as it looks pretty natural. That's the goal. Certain areas on the engine where the snow's built up on the roof, but again, there's a lot of bare spots too. But like here around the winterization hatch, there's some snow buildup that I'm going to try to represent here, and it'll be around the fan too. We'll show you guys that in here in just a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to kind of angle the engine back, and then I'll take the snow and sprinkle it on against the hatch to make it look like it's drifted and piled up against the hatch, which makes it look a little bit more like how snow would drift. Pretty much the same on the fan here, because on the radiator fan there's buildup around the fan itself. So I'm basically going to do the same thing. I'll just go around it, a little bit lighter bit of glue. I'll kind of put it at the top of the fan and let it flow down. You guys can kind of see that there. And then I will take it at different angles and try to kind of softly build it up here. Yeah, it's a little too much, but that's alright. I'll just kind of let that sit for a minute. We'll take the excess off. And again, just a little bit kind of around this hatch here, mainly on the front, just building that up again, and kind of at the base like this. Pile it up and work it around like that. Just like the rear of the hood, which was really the best part for demonstration purposes starting off, we're going to do the same thing for all this. Don't try to rush this, just start at one little area at a time. Be patient. Get your glue buildup. Kind of take it over at an angle and get the top portion of the snow built up first to cover up all the angles from the spackle. And just build it up like this. Remember, there's a lot of snow on the walkway of this engine, so we really want this to look piled up. So I may even go back later and add more. We'll see what this looks like when it dries though, but it should be pretty good. And just repeat this all the way down. But you can see, like, once you get into this, it's actually pretty fun and it's pretty easy. But you're still trying to make it look good. So still just try to kind of keep an eye on what you're doing. Try not to get any extra baking soda where you don't want it, because it's harder to get off if it's glued on. Once it's in place, it sticks pretty good. So just keep that in mind. Alright. Again, just start at the top. Make your sloping area the higher part of the snowdrift. And then fan it out. Softly. Little bit at a time. You can see because of the effects of the spackle, the drifts are very uneven and wobbly, or just kind of random. So it looks very convincing, like just like real snow basically. Looking at the front here, I'm going to start trying to be really careful and pay attention to prototype photos, because the snow is very specifically done on the front, so I don't want to screw it up here, because this is a very important part. It's the most noticeable part obviously too, so definitely don't want to screw it up. But just like before, take the snow, just start piling it up. As we keep going here, the buildup will start getting pretty heavy at the bottom, especially where the snow is. So I'm really going to start kind of piling up the glue here at the base of it. There's going to be especially heavy amount of snow on these panels. So I'm really going to saturate them. You guys can see that. Getting all the angles first, so again I'll take it at an angle and tuck the snow under there like this. Once I do that, stretch that a little bit, set it back down, and then start just piling it up right at those edges out to the kind of the edge of the platform. There we go. Again, very thick build up here. Yeah, I'll definitely have to go back and add more. It's kind of a good thing too, because I can kind of show how to layer this stuff, I guess. But that one panel here on the front especially is giving me a hard time, so just keep layering it. There we go. It's a little better. We're still tying together the walkways here, but I'm just doing this on the opposite side now. This side is a little bit heavier. It's because it's kind of a little harder to get pictures of this side. There's not too many shots in the movie where you can actually see this side of the engine, but it's pretty much just like the opposite side, so I'm kind of taking a little bit of free liberty here to kind of do this, but you know, it's okay. As long as it still looks something like the opposite side of the prototype, then you're in pretty good shape. You're still kind of keeping it along the lines of the prototype. It's not like the walkway of